Hello, hello, hello. Travis Wayne Goodsell, and I found out later in the afternoon today that Fox approved my video commentary of The Sound of Music. So I guess I'll try pursuing it. They say it's been available for 8 hours. There's only been one view. So I don't know, maybe nobody likes The Sound of Music. Yeah, it should have been a no-brainer that Fox had no choice but to allow it. And just from being a commentary alone, they can't censor me and silence me to comment on any media, audio, or video, or book. So, yeah, it's a situation that YouTube is interfering with, and most likely it was due to Fox, who prompted YouTube to inform them of any such potential violations of the copyright. Yeah. Alright, so what about my other videos? My intention is to use YouTube to communicate with the Mormon audience, because nobody cares about government news or economic news on my channel. They already have, everybody has their own channels to go for that type of information and commentary. So Mormon stuff is the popular one on YouTube, and most of it is from those who are opposed to the Mormon Church, and so it's difficult to not be able to connect with the Mormon audience that I'm trying to target. You know, the non-Mormon and anti-Mormon and former Mormons, they're the choir, so they already know all this stuff. They may not know exactly what I know, but they know why they don't want anything to do with the church. And so, you know, how do I get through to the Mormon audience? Because I'm not going to lie to them. I will not lie to them. I will tell them the truth, and they are going to be upset with that, and they are not going to want to hear my videos. So how do you communicate with someone or people who refuse to hear anything that they perceive as negative? And that's a tricky thing, you know. When you're trying to save people's lives and the people refuse to be saved, what do? Well, many people would just say, yeah, screw them, let them die, who cares? But if you were that person, you would want to have been informed, and you'd be a little upset when, you know, it all happens and you're exposed as being in the wrong, that you would have wished that someone would have directed you in the right way so that you wouldn't be humiliated for your stupidity and blindness. And so, yeah, I'm not sure how to get through to Mormons. I've only had one success, and let me scroll down to it. I'm at my YouTube site. I was checking to see about the video, and so it's there now, and it's only got one view after 8 hours. And down, 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 past the Last Days Messiah. And so I thought, you know, I thought The Last Days Messiah was an excellent video series of mine, And I am baffled because I was appealing to each and every organization, every religion, even atheists could have something out of that. But yeah, it didn't succeed. Everybody wanted the Torah, which is interesting because I doubt Jews have or pursue looking at social media sites. Okay, there's the one that got me kicked out of the church. LDS official doctrine on the fall of Adam. And there it is. No, yeah, there it is. The LDS dates for the return to Independence, Missouri from a year ago. And stay. And it's over 13K. And that's the biggest one. There's identifying Moses as a pharaoh of Egypt. That was a book promotion. I had just published the book. I had a professional editor go over the book for me because I wanted to make this one a good, valuable book. And that only had 402 views so far, and it's been 2 years on that one. And yeah, sales haven't been that great. Occasionally I'll get a person who will buy the Kindle version from Amazon. Not too many get the book. I have it posted on, is it Academia or is it on the other site? But I occasionally get notifications saying that people have viewed that manuscript that I submitted through their organization. So yeah, it's not doing as well as I would have liked it to, but yeah, we'll go to the beginning. For the beginning is where we begin. So 3 years ago, so in 2015, I obtained this laptop and had found YouTube and tried to figure out how to make videos and upload them to YouTube. And so my first ones from 3 years ago are very primitive in comparison. I don't have cover screens. What you see in those days were from the video. And I only thought I had 3 selections. I had no clue as to what a thumbnail was. And I was unfamiliar with Google and how to use that. And so I had to learn, because it hadn't been since about 2005, around that year, when I stopped having internet access, and I didn't pick it up again until 2014, near the end of the year in 2014. So that's at least, well, no more than 9 years away from the internet. So back in my days of first using the internet, it was the AOL disk, and so yeah, you'd hear that dial tone ring that is famous for AOL, and I was using it primarily for emailing scholars, and when I was working with the church curriculum department for the LDS Church, I had to contact and be contacted for information for that process. And also I used it for commenting on the internet with the Deseret News, which mysteriously in 2008 all my comments were deleted. And I know this because I was when I got the internet again, I searched through their archives to find my previous posts and could only find people's replies to my comments. And one of them had to do with R-rated movies, and the other one had to do with the Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory, I corrected the article that it wasn't Hubble who invented the Big Bang Theory. It was a Catholic priest who invented it. And at that time, the information about him had not been released publicly. But now that Google is available, anybody can now find out that, yes, I was right, and the guy who replied to me is wrong. But they let him act as if he were the authority on the matter, and that I was incorrect. And so, yeah, that's what I don't like about comments, is when you have arbiters that decide who gets to be posted as a comment. That causes a lot of problems. But why they pulled it, I know why. But yeah, that's another issue. And so the R-rated movies one, I was again correcting, telling Mormons, go back to President Benson's talk. Don't listen to his talk. You've got to read it, because when you read it, you see the punctuation, or in this case, the lack thereof. Benson never said that Mormons are not to watch R-rated movies. What? Yeah, go back and read it. Even though the church edits people's conference talks, even to extremes in several cases, like Elder Faust's final talk, where he gave a chastisement to the apostles directly, telling them they cannot go against the president of the church. That's now gone. So if anybody has that from having taped it on a VHS tape, please, let me know, get it digitized, and get it on YouTube. That would be awesome, so that everybody can have access to it. Publish that, get that out there, because yeah, he told members of the church, only follow the president of the church for commandments and revelations, just as Doctrine and Covenants tells Mormons to do. And Elder Faust also went after the apostles. Do not go against the president of the church. Do not come up with your own commandments, your own revelations. Because if you actually took a look at your standards that you believe in are commandments from the president of the church, President Hinckley was the one who talked about in the fireside to women, only wear one earring in each ear. And then women then immediately complied and took out their extra earrings and facial rings and body piercing. It wasn't that bad for most cases, but it's just funny. But however, what about you singles who want to hang out with someone of the opposite sex? Are you allowed to hang out with someone of the opposite sex? Is it the president of the church who gave that commandment? Or is it an added commandment by someone unauthorized, even if that person happened to have been a member of the 12 apostles who was giving the fireside talk? Oops, I gave it away. Yeah, there is no commandment that singles cannot hang out. No commandment. All it is just advice from an elderly man. So You gotta make sure you understand what is an actual commandment and what is coming from some other source. And you gotta identify that source. People talk about the last days in Mormonism. And, people are saying, I heard that they're only going to call certain members of the church to go back and build the kingdom of God in Missouri. President of the church, Joseph Smith, anybody? No. It wasn't any authority. It was just a regular member of the church who's been popularized. Oh, nope, sorry, I take that back. He was a member of the 70. Woof, almost messed up on that one. But it's as if he had no authority, because Brigham Young had no authority. So, yeah, it was a member of the 70. He published a book on the Second Coming, and I found it. I have it in that pile over there. It's in the back 2 columns in the front part that you saw there. And I found him saying that quote, and he said it as his opinion. He did not put a reference. No reference. It wasn't quoted. It was him, in his words, saying it. He was giving the prophecy. He's not even a prophet, and he was giving a prophecy that was to be the case. So, sorry, Mormons, you have to discard that as a belief in your belief system. You cannot believe in that. So, sorry, the president of the church is not going to call select people to go back and build Zion. Ain't gonna happen. There's no foundation for it other than an unauthorized source. What else? Oh, caffeine. Last year, the church secretly released that there is no commandment in the Word of Wisdom to not drink caffeinated drinks. So where did that come from? It came from Mormons who thought they were smart. Well, coffee has caffeine. That's probably why. No. Go back. In seminary, they had the little cards back when I went to seminary in the 80s that taught you how to study the scriptures. And one of those was the historical background. The historical background is necessary for studying scriptures. And it's a little complicated with the New Testament and especially the Old Testament because there's a lot of background studying that needs to be done. And there's a lot of emptiness in the scholastic fields on many of those subjects. So you've really got to dig and do primary research like I've done. And so with the Doctrine and Covenants, however, that's a little easier, except if it weren't for the problem of the church withholding certain historical facts and historical information from us. And so, yeah, the reason why Joseph Smith named those specific items was because those were the items that Emma Smith, Joseph's wife, complained about having to clean up after the meetings that Joseph would have in in their house, in the house that they were staying at. You know, back then, women did the cooking and the cleaning, so that men can do men stuff. And so she had to clean up after the men who were not very good at being neat and tidy. So yeah, they had tobacco chewing and using a spit urn, and so they weren't very good shots at getting the tobacco spit into the spit urn. And so guess who had to clean that up? Emma. And she didn't like that. It's very gross and disgusting stuff. I have seen it, and I've seen people chew it. And so, yeah, it's ugh. And then you see, back in the 80s, they used to have commercials warning people about the use of chewing tobacco. And they would show the gums of people who chewed tobacco. And that was enough to say, okay, I'm never touching that. But yet those who do it, they don't care. Screw my gums. If I go toothless, so what? I'll numb my food. But that gets me into another tangent about how Clear Choice here in Utah is advertising about doing implants. And the government and insurance companies will not allow people to get covered for implants if they lose their teeth. They only allow for dentures. And as a result, I mean, the Clear Choice only had it in one of their advertisements, and at least a couple years ago. And it may have been still showing last year as well. But I haven't seen it much this year. I haven't seen much of Clear Choice at all, but it could be because I switched to MSNBC from Fox News Local. No, I still occasionally see Clear Choice on MSN. Well, it could be the other channels. Could be when I'm watching Lethal Weapon or something. So anyway, yeah, Clear Choice had in their commercial the health factor that's involved here. That the insurance companies refuse it because they call it cosmetic. And Clear Choice, in this commercial, was clearly stating this is not cosmetic, because they were saying that dentures ruin the bone, and whereas implants help grow the bone, strengthen the bone. And that clearly is an argument against the insurance companies to allow implants over dentures even. So that dentures should not be allowed anymore. Nobody should be having dentures, because dentures, not only for the poly grip that you got to use to stick it in your mouth, you know, it does damage to your bone. And so insurance companies are promoting harming their clients, and that's a crime. That needs to be stopped. And so, yeah, insurance companies need to allow people to get implants so that they can chew food and not damage their bone. And so, yeah, I'm an old man now because I've got all this experience. And I'm able to put it all on YouTube so that you can enjoy my vast experience of life. Yay, I'm an old man now. Oh boy. Alright, so yeah, and then don't get me going on contacts. Oh man, what a scam operation they have there. And of course, insurance companies will not cover contacts nor laser surgery unless it's a medical emergency. And so, otherwise they call it cosmetic. It's not cosmetic. Makeup is cosmetic. Yeah, so, yeah, John Q is the perfect movie illustrating the problems with insurance companies and hospitals in regards to patient care. Okay, so Mormons, how do I get through to you? How do I title my stuff so that you would be drawn to it and actually listen and go, hey, he's saying things that others have told me not to listen to, and he's saying things that are accusations against the church. Is he right? You know, but Mormons just assume automatically, no, he's wrong. I will not listen to him. And Mormons will never do the research. They'll never fact check me, even though I'm actually pointing out where to go to find the information in many of these posts and books that I'm doing. And because, like the Book of Mormon, if you're going to study the Book of Mormon, if it's true, are you just going to read the book and then pray and expect to get the answer? That's what Mormons believe. So what about these linguists who actually do research to find out if the book is a fraud or if it is legitimate? Because you got to have some way of knowing if a book is a fraud or not. And because in court cases for other situations, you know, you have to say, is this your signature? No, Your Honor, it is not my signature. Well, we've got an actual document that you have signed, and we have had it forensically analyzed by a finger or a handwriting expert, and yes, it is your handwriting. You can't prove it. It's not, you can't prove it. We just did. No! Oh man, Trump. And so, yeah, I mean, how do you think people are able to figure these things out, Mormons? You know, DNA of the American Indians. You know, you can't just pray and get an answer from your inner thoughts and feelings on the matter. How are you going to know if the DNA of the American Indians matches the group of people that the book claims to originate from? You do the DNA. Duh. And so, yeah, they come from China, which China comes from Egypt. And so, yeah, and then they've now recently, earlier this year, found that Egypt comes from Canaan. Notice in Abraham chapter 1, Mormons. Read it. But, okay, so how do I title it? How do I get through to you guys that you will do the research to fact check the church? You're supposed to fact check the church. In Thessalonians, it says, prove all things. You know, that's not a literal translation of the Greek, but it's pretty close. It's not inaccurate. I think it actually has to do with test all things. Put things to the test is what it's talking about. So prove all things. Yeah, okay. It's not the scientific terminology because you can't really prove anything in science. You can only confirm. And you can confirm to a high percentage of confirmation. And to the point where you then can consider it no longer a theory, but an actual law. So the law of gravity. We have established that to a high percentage of confirmation that there is such a thing, and we're calling it the law of gravity. So that's how it's supposed to work. So a conspiracy theory is not what the fake news media and Trump people are saying it is. You know, conspiracy is at least two people plotting to commit criminal behavior. And the theory part is an outsider's investigation. You know, like crime has been committed. Who committed the crime? And so they got to investigate. Okay, it wasn't one person as we originally believed. We can now establish a theory that there were at least 2 people involved in this criminal behavior. Conspiracy theory. So it's not a make-believe magical fairyland stuff. So please don't get suckered into the propaganda of alternate defining. You know, go back to the origins of word definitions. Don't get fooled by that. You know, both parties want to claim that we're a democracy, and democracy is in jeopardy. Republicans say the Democrats are threatening democracy, and Democrats say that Republicans are threatening democracy. They're both wrong. We are not a democracy. Go back to the definition of democracy. It's a majority vote of the people. We do not have a majority vote wins in this nation. We do not want a majority vote wins in this nation. We want what the Constitution tells us we are supposed to have, a constitutional republic. And that's different from a socialist republic. It's different from a representative republic. But again, you've got to understand the correct definitions in order to understand when people are lying and trying to deceive us. And so yes, you've got to fact check the church leaders. You cannot just readily accept whatever they tell you to believe, because there are contentions among the brethren. Listen to any conference. Go back to my conference videos. You know, I point out, hey, here's a point. Remember so-and-so in the previous session? He said this. Now this guy is saying this. They contradict each other in conference. But you gotta know in order to catch it. Don't just believe whatever anybody tells you. You know, I was dating a woman once who said, "Oh, I believe in anything." And I called her out on it. You can't believe everything, because then you're in a conundrum of 2 opposing views. And I think I may have used, well, then you believe in nothing. Because you believe in everything, so then you believe in nothing. And so she caught on. She was smart. She wasn't a dummy, but she had been fooled on that worldly thinking, and that you should be open-minded. They have Medicare. You see that commercial with the old people talking about signing up for Medicare. And the one black lady opens up the fence, or comes out, peeks out the window, I can't remember which, and she says, "Be open-minded." What? I don't have to be open-minded about Medicaid or Medicare. You know, even if I am in that age of using it, you know, I don't need to be open-minded for it. We can have something other than Medicaid and Medicare in our economy. And so what they're trying to do is say, hey, you need to believe what we're telling you, and by believing what we're telling you, that's open-mindedness. So when open-mindedness became a fad to promote, that's what people were trying to say, is that, hey, you know, I'm open-minded. I'm going to experiment with things that are harmful to my body or threats to national security. I'm open-minded. It's a self-defeating principle. it's wrong on the surface, prima facie. So yeah, there's a lot of false information going around out there. And so yeah, I go over the Book of Abraham facsimiles. It's not in great detail, and I was still developing the Egyptian theory from my Paleo-Hebrew theory back 3 years ago. So it would be different now, and I really want to get back to this, to redo these. But facsimile number 1 is 165, it looks like. I don't think it's 185. So, yeah. My contacts from the last time I went to the eye doctor, which was 3 years ago, he gave me contacts that he said over time would not allow me to see close up. I'd need reading glasses. And so at the end of last year, I started having trouble reading computer screens, things close up, and I needed to go out and buy some reading glasses. Turns out that the reading glasses now have given me permanent damage on my temples, and so I occasionally get headaches in my temple region, and so I had to try to get by without wearing the eyeglasses, and so when my right eye finally had enough and was telling me I need to take it out, I took it out, and I was shocked. Hey, I can see close up now. What's going on? Oh yeah, that's right. The doctor told me 3 years ago that it would do that. And so yeah, I keep my right eye without contacts, and my left eye compensates for distance, and then the right eye compensates for close up. So left eye, no. So I have to sort of do this to look at things close up, and this for things far away. So fun times in the big city. But insurance won't pay for the correction. So yeah, it's cosmetic. You know, it's eyesight. People need to see in order to get along in life. Cosmetic. God. Okay, so yeah, 165 for facsimile number 1, 593. Yep, 593 for facsimile number 2, and 161 for facsimile number 3. So everybody seems to like facsimile number 2 the best. And so yeah, I've got a lot of new information about facsimile number 2 that I've been throwing in on my recent videos. So yeah, I could do a whole revision of facsimile number 2, but 593 in 3 years, yeah, people aren't really interested compared to the 13,000 on that one video. So yeah, I do have some thousands somewhere. 727 for my revision of the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet. And so where's the original one? Yeah, there it is. Restoring the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet, 1.2K. So yeah. So yeah, this is what I was using it for in the beginning, was promoting the new information about Paleo-Hebrew, about Egyptian translation, and nobody was interested. And even the facsimiles pictorial journey, you know, it's just pictures on the screen, harmless, 46 views. Building a Lego city. I did a video using Legos of men building a city, and that was only 110 views in 2 years now. But I did have a lot of favorable comments from people that know me personally rather than on the channel. Because people don't want to express themselves to other people. They're afraid of what they might say in response. And then 666 exposed. I thought that was awesome. But yeah, I had to do a cheap thumbnail thing for it. You know, now I could do like some demonic picture on there and attract people's attention, or at least scare them away. And now under Trump, it's all the more clear now what John the Revelator was talking about. But only 100 and this is actually looks like 80 here. 180 views in 2 years. So, yeah, wealth of information, people, and you just don't care. You don't believe. And so here's when I started transitioning into the interpretation of the heavens. This scared Mormons. And they thought it was astrology. And that's evil. Well, how do you like it now? And I can use the term biatch. I have to pronounce it that way so I don't use the female dog term. And yeah, there's prophecy doom of the U.S. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and nobody cared. So, yeah, I was hammering it down. Signs of the Heavens for 1st October 2016 conference. Millennial Moses, sign of Christ's birth, prophesied doom of U.S. Look at us now, people. Look at us now. And then here's the 13K going to Independence, Missouri, and then man-child cometh, and then we just tank again down to 110 views. Although that's 45 seconds. You guys can't go to listen to the Illuminati. We've come to take control. And then Stick of Ephraim. I tried to let Mormons know about the prophecy. I had figured it out. I can restore and fulfill this prophecy of Ezekiel's chapter 37, which President Nelson, who was actually an elder back when he said that the Book of Mormon is the fulfillment of the Ezekiel 37 prophecy. I could not find any other president or prophet to back him up. He's wrong. First of all, it's because he was only an apostle when he said it, not the right authority to give commandments and revelations. Only the president of the church, which is why I want somebody to come out with Elder Faust's actual conference talk. And because, yeah, Faust also died around the time of the lunar eclipse that occurred, which also corresponded with Hinckley's death. Faust was before the lunar eclipse, after was Hinckley who died. I was astounded when I saw that happen. That was like, wow, awesome. So when I saw that the total solar eclipse was coming over Independence, Missouri, I knew exactly what that meant. And look at us now, people. So yeah, I'm at 44 minutes. You guys have given up on me. Alright, whatever. How do I solve a problem like Mormons?